Ladies and gentlemen, there's a version of you right now, a version that wakes up tired, talks themselves out of goals, makes excuses, scrolls on the phone instead of building the dream, says maybe tomorrow, and quits when things get hard. You ever notice how the bed feels extra comfortable when you've got something important to do? I mean, that pillow feels like it was hand-stitched by angels when you got a responsibility waiting on you. You got dreams, goals, bills, a vision board hanging over your desk, and yet that blanket got you in a chokehold like it's trying to keep you from becoming who you're supposed to be. That's the weak version of you talking. And if you don't learn how to shut that voice down, you're gonna stay right there in that warm bed, stuck. Let me tell you something. Successful people don't move based on how they feel. They move based on who they are. You're waiting to feel motivated. You're already lost. You're waiting to feel energized, feel inspired, feel like it's the right time. You might as well sit down and write a letter to your dreams telling them, hey, I'm sorry, I ain't got what it takes, because that weak version of you is always going to give you a reason to stay still. See, that weak version of you loves comfort. It loves the snooze button. It loves I'll do it tomorrow. It loves saying I'm tired when you ain't done enough to be tired. I'm talking to the you that hits the alarm and lays there talking yourself out of action. The you that hears a voice whisper 5 more minutes and actually listens. That's the voice that's killing your purpose slowly. That's the voice of weakness. And listen, I'm not saying you can't rest. I'm not saying burn yourself out. What I'm saying is this: when you've got something inside of you that's bigger than you, when you've got a calling, when you've got a purpose, then rest becomes a strategy, not a lifestyle. You don't get up because you feel good. You get up because the future is calling you. And that call don't come with a snooze button. You think I felt like showing up when I was broke and sleeping in my car. You think I felt like pushing when folks were laughing, doors were closing, and I couldn't see the way forward. Let me tell you, I never felt like it, but I got up anyway. And every single time I did, I took a step away from that weak version of myself and closer to the man I was trying to become. That version of you that's afraid, tired, lazy. It's always going to be the loudest first thing in the morning. It's the first voice to speak up because it wants to win the day before it even starts. But if you learn how to talk back, how to tell that voice, not today, I got work to do, I got greatness to chase, then you take control. Here's what separates the strong from the weak. The strong have mastered getting up when they don't feel like it. They lace up the shoes when the body is sore. They make the call when the nerves are shaking. They write the book when nobody's reading. They keep going not because it's easy, but because they know what's on the line. And you got something on the line too. You got family counting on you. You got people watching. You got future generations depending on whether you get up or stay down. So yeah, you're tired. I get it. You're discouraged. I get that too, but you don't get to let that be your excuse. Not anymore. Let me break it down for you real simple. Discipline is doing it anyway. Period. You don't negotiate with your goals. You don't debate your future like it's up for discussion. You wake up and execute. Every time you get up when you don't feel like it, you gain power. Every time you fight that urge to stay down, you're sharpening your edge. And let me tell you, over time, that edge becomes unstoppable. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you kill the weak version of yourself. Not all at once, not with one big moment, but with daily decisions. You kill it every morning, you rise up anyway. Every evening you finish what you said you would. Every time you take action when everything in you is saying don't. Because guess what? The weak version of you ain't gonna walk away on its own. It's not gonna pack a bag and move out. You got to evict it. You got to fight it every single day until it no longer has a voice. You show it who's in charge. You remind it who's running this life. You silence it by doing the work. You want freedom? Get up. You want peace? Get up. You want success, impact, legacy? You already know what to do. You know what separates people who win from the ones who just wish? It's what they do when nobody's clapping. It's what they do when nobody's checking in. Nobody's liking, nobody's watching. You want to become somebody powerful, focused, unshakable. You better learn how to do the hard thing even when no one's watching, because that's where the real character gets built. See, everybody looks good when the lights are on. Everybody can flex when there's applause, when there's recognition, when the results are coming in. But what about when it's just you, that clock on the wall, and your own voice telling you to quit? What about when the work is boring, repetitive, thankless, and nobody even knows you're grinding? That's the place where the weak version of you shows up loud. That weak version will tell you, this don't matter. It'll say, nobody's even gonna see this. So why give it your best? It'll whisper, take a shortcut. Nobody's gonna know. But let me tell you something. You'll know. And every time you choose the easy road when no one's looking, you're telling yourself you ain't worthy of greatness. You're saying, I'm okay staying average. You can't fake effort. Not for long. That weak version of you wants performance without preparation. It wants rewards without sacrifice. But life don't work like that. Success don't work like that. You can't skip the grind and expect the glory. You ever seen a tree grow? I'm not talking about the finished product. I'm talking about the process. The slow, unseen process of roots digging deep in the dirt where nobody can see. There's no applause underground. No spotlight in the soil. But if those roots don't grow strong when nobody's watching, that tree's gonna fall the first time the wind blows. You're the same way. You can't grow into who you're meant to be if you're only putting in effort when people are watching. You gotta build in the dark. You gotta train when it's quiet. You gotta work when it's not sexy. You gotta show up when nobody says thank you. That job you're doing right now that don't get noticed. That business you're building and it feels like no one cares. That dream you're chasing while your friends are out partying. That's your roots. That's where your foundation is being set. And the question is, are you building like you expect to win, or are you just pretending until somebody notices? Let me tell you, I had days where the only one who saw me grinding was me. Days where I had to clap for my damn self. When nobody was calling, nobody was inviting, nobody was offering help, I still had to show up, still had to put on a tie, still had to practice my lines, still had to believe in something I couldn't see. And you gotta do that too. Stop needing validation to do what you said you were gonna do. Stop needing a crowd to walk in your purpose. Stop waiting for someone to approve your effort before you give your best. That's weakness. And we're not here to play with weakness. We're here to kill it. You gotta become the kind of person who does the hard thing because it's the right thing, not because someone's watching. Do you finish the workout even when the gym's empty? Do you keep the promise when nobody's holding you accountable? Do you keep grinding when nobody's clapping? That's where strength is born. Let me make this real for you. If you can't trust yourself in private, don't expect the world to trust you in public. Integrity ain't just about morals, it's about consistency. It's about doing what's necessary when no one will ever know if you did it or not. That's the battlefield, and every day you're either winning that fight or you're losing to that weak version of yourself. You keep scrolling, comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, thinking you're behind, but you don't see their route. You don't see the nights they stayed up when no one cared. You don't see the times they cried, pushed through, and kept going when quitting felt easier. Stop comparing your grind to someone else's shine. Put your head down and do your work. And let's be honest, it don't feel good to do the hard stuff in silence. It don't feel good to sacrifice and not see the payoff right away. But that's the test. Can you delay the reward long enough to deserve it? Can you outlast the doubt long enough to rise? Because the people who make, they ain't the ones who worked when it felt good. They're the ones who worked no matter how it felt. You want to be proud of yourself. You want to walk in a room and feel like you earned your spot. Then stop looking for shortcuts. Stop doing just enough to get by. And stop letting the lack of an audience make you lazy. Every single day you show up and do the hard thing when it's lonely, when it's quiet, when it's painful. You're building something the world can't take from you. Killing the weak version of you that wants to be seen more than it wants to be great. And when it's all said and done and that breakthrough comes and the world finally sees the fruit, you'll know it was never luck, it was never chance. Discipline in the dark that brought the light. Do the hard thing, even when nobody's watching. Let me tell you something about comfort. Comfort is a liar. Comfort tells you, you're fine right here. It whispers, don't risk it, don't move, don't stretch. It makes you believe that staying safe is the same as staying smart. But that's the weak version of you talking. That's the part of you that would rather stay in a job you hate than chase the business you believe in. That's the part of you that would rather be liked than be free. And if you keep listening to it, you'll wake up one day wondering how you ended up with a life that looks nothing like the one you were supposed to live. The truth is, you're not stuck. You're just comfortable. And that's dangerous. Because comfort don't challenge you. It don't demand anything from you. It don't push you to become more. It just lets you sit there slowly forgetting who you were meant to be. You gotta stop running to comfort and start chasing purpose. Because purpose is not soft. Purpose is not convenient. Purpose don't come with a blanket and a cup of coffee. Purpose comes with pressure. Purpose comes with pain. Purpose comes with stretching your faith when the numbers don't add up and the people around you don't believe in your vision. See, we got it backwards. We think discomfort is a sign we're doing something wrong. But I'm here to tell you, discomfort is the evidence you're getting closer. Growth hurts. Expansion hurts. You don't get stronger by lifting light stuff. You don't grow by doing what's easy. You grow when you say yes to the hard thing. When you do the uncomfortable thing. When you say, I'm not going to let fear decide my future. That weak version of you, it loves comfort. It wants routine. It wants the same day on repeat because that's what feels safe. But you weren't created to live the same year 75 times and call it a life. You were built to evolve, to risk, to step into the unknown and trust that something greater is waiting for you. But to get there, you gotta leave the nest. You gotta stop hiding behind, I'm not ready. You gotta stop delaying your purpose because you're scared to be uncomfortable. Listen, if you wait until you're not scared, you'll be waiting your whole life. Fear doesn't go away. You just get strong enough to walk through it. Let me break this down for you. Every time you choose comfort over calling, you shrink your future. You trade impact for ease. You silence your gifts for the sake of fitting in. And the world don't need more people playing it safe. The world needs people bold enough to do the thing that scares them. People who are willing to look foolish, fail publicly, and still keep going because they believe in what's inside of them. You've got something inside of you. Don't sit here and tell me you don't. You've felt it. That tug, that ache, that fire, that thing that keeps you up at night, that dream that keeps popping back up, no matter how many times you try to bury it under responsibility and fear. That's purpose, and it don't go away. It don't shut up. It's going to keep knocking until you either answer or you numb yourself enough to ignore it. But let me warn you, ignoring purpose has a cost. You might not feel it right away, but over time, your life will start to feel hollow. You'll get everything you thought you wanted, the title, the house, the car, and still feel empty. Because deep down you know you settled. You know you played it safe, and no amount of money or success can fill the space where your purpose was supposed to live. So what do? You chase purpose like your life depends on it. Because it does. You start saying yes to the things that scare you, starting the business, making the call, writing the book, quitting the job, speaking your truth. You stop saying one day and start saying today. You stop waiting for a sign and realize the fact that you're still breathing is the sign. And don't you think for a second it's supposed to be easy. Don't think chasing your calling means the path is smooth. Nah, the path is hard. The road is narrow. The way is full of rejection, doubt, late nights, lonely moments, and painful lessons. But every step forward, even the painful ones, is pulling you closer to the life you were meant to live. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you start chasing purpose, comfort starts to feel uncomfortable. Once you get a taste of becoming who you really are, you can't go back to pretending. You can't unsee your potential. You can't unknow what you're capable of. And that's when the weak version of you starts to lose power. That version that says stay where it's safe gets quieter. That version that's afraid of failure starts to fade. That version that says what if it doesn't work gets drowned out by the version of you that says but what if it does. I'm telling you, if you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you got to do it with decision. You got to make the hard choice over the easy one. The brave choice over the convenient one. You got to walk away from what's familiar and into what's calling you. Because when your purpose is bigger than your fear, you stop negotiating with doubt. You stop settling for survival and start chasing what sets your soul on fire. You become the kind of person who don't run to comfort. You rise to challenge. You get up every day ready to build, ready to grow, ready to walk through fire if it means becoming who you were always meant to be. Comfort is not your friend. Purpose is in, and your purpose is calling. Time to answer. Let me tell you something real important. If you keep showing up as who you've always been, you're never going to step into who you're supposed to become. You can't carry old habits into a new life. You can't drag an old mindset into a higher level. And you sure can't take that weak version of yourself into a future that demands strength, growth, and bold decisions. That version of you, the one that hesitates, procrastinates, overthinks, makes excuses, it's gotta go. That version can't come with you. See, people love to talk about wanting more. I want a better life. I want a better job. I want peace, freedom, success, impact. But they don't realize that to get more, you have to become more. You don't get to stay the same and expect different results. That's not how growth works. Growth costs. And the price is often the version of you that's been holding you back this whole time. That weak version of you loves comfort. It loves excuses. It loves pretending. It'll dress up fear as logic. It'll tell you now's not the right time when really it just don't want you to change. Because change means death to the identity you've clung to. It means letting go of who you've been so you can step into who you were always meant to be. But here's the truth. The future you want can't even recognize the current version of you. That's how much transformation is required. I'm not just talking about changing what you do. I'm talking about changing who you are. I'm talking about a mindset shift, so deep that people won't even recognize you anymore. The way you talk, the way you walk, the way you think, the way you carry yourself, that's the kind of shift it takes to rise. That's what separates the people who talk about change from the ones who actually live it. You can't conquer a mountain with the same mentality that had you stuck in the valley. You got to evolve. You got to look at that weak version of yourself and say, we had a good run, but you're not invited anymore. The version of you that settles, it's got to go. The one that keeps shrinking to make others comfortable, gone. The one that overthinks every move and needs permission to start. Leave it behind. That's the weight that's keeping you grounded when you're supposed to be flying. And don't think for a second this shift is going to be easy. It's not. You are literally shedding old skin. You're walking away from patterns that have defined you for years. You're learning how to speak a new language, the language of discipline, boldness, and belief. And every time you level up, you're going to have to leave something behind. That's just the deal. New levels come with new devils, but they also require a new you. Sometimes it's not just habits you have to break. It's identities. Maybe you've identified as the quiet one, the scared one, the one who always messes up, the one who never follows through. You've told yourself that story for so long you started to believe it was who you are. But I'm here to tell you that's not who you are, that's just who you were. And if you're brave enough to change the story, you can change the outcome. You gotta start introducing yourself to your future. Start acting like the version of you that already has what you're after. How would they think? What would they tolerate? What would they say no to? What would they never settle for? Start being that person now, not someday. Because becoming isn't about time passing, it's about intention meeting action. And that weak version of you don't operate with intention. It waits, it reacts, it drifts. But the real you, the one you were born to be, it decides. Decide to stop entertaining people who drain you. Decide to stop wasting time on things that don't build you. Decide to stop hiding behind, I don't know how, and start saying, I'll figure it out. Because the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't talent, it's commitment, it's decision, it's daily sacrifice, it's becoming ruthless about who you're allowing to show up every day, the weak version or the future you. And let's be clear, the future version of you don't have time for drama, it don't dwell on the past, it don't beg for validation, it moves with focus, it protects its energy, it walks like the doors are already open, even if they're not yet. That's the energy that attracts opportunities, connections, and breakthroughs. That's the energy that builds legacy. But you can't get there if you're still waking up in the same mindset that had you broken, or bitter. Some of y'all are praying for blessings you don't have the capacity to hold. Not because you're not worthy, but because you're not ready. You're still thinking like the old you. Still moving like the limited version of yourself. And life's not going to give you what you ask for. It's going to give you what you're prepared for. So if you want more, you better start transforming now. Not next month. Not when it's comfortable. Now. Kill the weak version of you not just once but every day. Kill it when you want to quit. Kill it when you want to blame. Kill it when you start playing small. And every time you do, you're carving out space for the stronger you to rise. You're creating room for the version of you that's got vision, resilience, power, and peace. The one that gets up early. The one that leads with discipline. The one that don't flinch when life gets loud.
That version of you, that's who your future is waiting on. And it's about time you introduce the world to them. Let them meet the real you.
You want to know why most people never live the life they're truly capable of? It's because they keep quitting on themselves. Every time it gets tough, every time the pressure hits, every time it looks like it's not working fast enough, they back out, they throw in the towel, they let doubt win. And what they don't realize is they're not quitting a job or a goal or a dream. They're quitting on themselves. They're telling themselves they can't handle it. They're not enough, they're not worthy. And once you start quitting on yourself, it becomes a habit. But let me tell you something. If you ever want to rise, if you ever want to step into greatness, you've got to make a decision deep in your soul that quitting is no longer an option. Not when it gets hard, not when it gets slow, not when nobody believes in you, not when you're tired, not when it's uncomfortable, not even when it hurts. You've got to decide, I will not give up on me. Because here's the truth, everybody wants the reward, but not everybody wants the responsibility. Everybody wants the glow up, the freedom, the peace, the respect, but they don't want to go through the process that builds it. They don't want to show up when they don't feel like it. They don't want to stay disciplined when there's no instant gratification. But listen to me, if you quit when it's hard, you're telling your future, it don't matter. You're telling your kids, your legacy, your purpose, you're not worth the fight. There's no strength without struggle. There's no power without pain. You can't pray for growth and then walk away the moment things stretch you. You can't say you want to become someone new, but keep running back to your old ways. Every time life applies pressure, growth is painful, change is ugly. Reinvention requires breaking down everything you thought you were, so you can rebuild who you're meant to be. And you don't get to skip that. You've got to go through it. You've got to fight through it. That weak version of you wants to quit. It wants you to believe that it's too late, that you failed too many times, that you've missed your moment. But that's a lie. That's fear talking. That's comfort trying to drag you back into mediocrity. Let me tell you something. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. What you are is unfinished. And as long as you've got breath in your body, there is still time to become who you were called to be. But you've got to stop quitting on yourself. See, the world's going to throw things at you. Life's going to test you. You're going to get hit with setbacks, betrayals, losses, heartbreak. And in those moments, you've got two choices. Fold or fight. You can either believe the lie that says this is where it ends, or you can speak the truth that says this is where I begin again, stronger, wiser. And the only difference between the people who rise and the people who stay stuck is this: the ones who rise refuse to give up on themselves. You've got to have your own back. You've got to be your own rescue plan. Stop waiting for someone to come save you, validate you, tell you it's time. It's already time. You've got to wake up every day and choose to keep going, even when you don't see the results yet, even when you're tired of being tired, even when you feel like you're walking through the fire. Because what's on the other side of that fire, that's where your life changes. That's where your purpose gets unlocked. That's where your strength shows up. You ever met somebody who had every reason to quit, but didn't? That person becomes unstoppable, because once you survive something that should have broke you, you walk different, you think different, you stop second guessing yourself, you stop begging for approval. You realize, if I made it through that, I can make it through anything. But the only way you get there is if you don't give up on yourself. And look, I get it. You're human. You get tired. You get frustrated. You get scared. So do I. But tired doesn't mean done. Scared doesn't mean stop. You've got to learn how to rest, not quit. You've got to learn how to pause, not surrender. You've got to train your mind to keep showing up even when your emotions tell you to sit down, because your emotion will lie to you. But your discipline, that's your truth. That's your anchor. That's the voice that says, I'm not quitting. I've come too far. Every time you push past the urge to give up, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. Every time you choose to stay committed when it's not easy, you build character, you build identity, you build a version of yourself that doesn't just chase greatness, it becomes it. And once you become that version of you, there's no turning back, there's no settling, there's no shrinking, there's no begging, there's only purpose, power, and progress. So if you're thinking about quitting, Don't. If you're doubting whether you're capable, you are. If you're wondering if it's worth it, it is. You were built for this. You've got something inside of you that's been waiting to come out, and it's only going to rise when you stop backing down and start standing up for your future. Don't let your past define your potential. Don't let temporary pain steal your permanent purpose. Every time you don't quit, you kill the weak version of yourself. Every time you show up, speak up, and level up, you silence the voice that says you can't. So don't quit. Not now, not ever, not on you. Let me tell you something that most folks don't want to hear. Your breakthrough is not going to come when everything is perfect. It's not going to show up after everything makes sense. It's not going to wait for your fear to disappear. No, your breakthrough comes after you take the step, after you move, after you decide to do it scared, do it unsure, do it trembling, but do it anyway. You've got to take the step even when you don't see the full path. That's how you kill the weak version of yourself, by walking in faith and not in fear. See, we live in a world where people are addicted to certainty. Everybody wants a guarantee. They want to know how it's all going to work out before they even start. They want every detail laid out, every doubt removed, every risk handled. But life don't work like that. Purpose don't work like that. Greatness don't work like that. Sometimes the only thing you get is the next step, not the whole staircase. And that next step, that's the one you've been avoiding. That's the one the weak version of you keeps talking you out of. That weak version of you says, wait until it feels rough. Wait until you're confident. Wait until you're ready. But here's the thing, you will never feel completely ready to change your life. Growth always feels like a risk. Stepping into the unknown will always stir up fear. And if you let fear call the shots, you'll stay stuck. You'll watch the years go by waiting on a perfect moment that never comes. At some point, you've got to realize that clarity comes after movement, not before. The breakthrough comes after you step. You ever notice how doors don't open until you start walking toward them? That's how life works. You've got to act first. You've got to trust that if you take the step, the next one will appear. It's not your job to know how everything's going to unfold. It's your job to move in faith, to trust your gut, to trust your gift, to trust that what's in you is greater than what's around you. You've got to stop letting fear drive your decisions and start letting faith fuel your direction. I know it's hard. I know stepping into the unknown feels scary. I've been there. I've felt that fear, the kind that makes your chest tight and your palms sweat and your mind start playing out every worst case scenario. But you know what's scarier than taking a risk? Waking up one day and realizing you never even tried. Realizing you let fear rob you of a life you were supposed to build. That's the kind of regret that haunts people. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to look back and say, I was scared, but I did it anyway. You've got to become the kind of person who moves without all the answers, who steps out even when it's dark, who takes that leap even when your knees are shaking. Because courage isn't about having no fear, it's about not letting fear stop you. And every time you move forward in spite of the fear, you shrink that weak version of yourself. You prove that version wrong. You take back control, and that's when the real you starts to rise. See, the weak version of you wants guarantees. It wants everything to feel safe. But safety don't build legacies. Comfort don't create change. You've got to be willing to feel uncomfortable for a season so you can live fulfilled for a lifetime. And that means doing things scared. That means showing up when you don't have it all figured out. That means saying yes before you know how it's all going to unfold. You might be sitting on a vision, an idea, a calling, something that's been tugging at you for years. And every time you think about it, your heart lights, but then your mind starts asking all the questions. What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? What if I'm not good enough? And every time you let those questions win, you silence your own potential. You keep talking yourself out of the very thing that could change your life. Listen to me, stop asking what if it doesn't work and start asking what if it does. Because you know what? You don't have to have all the answers to start. You just have to have the guts to begin. That's it. The rest you'll figure out on the way. But you can't figure it out if you never move. You can't grow if you stay stuck. The strong version of you, the one you're trying to become, that version don't need a guarantee. That version moves because it trusts that everything it needs will show up along the way. And I'll be real with you. You will mess up. You will fall. You will take steps that feel like setbacks. But every stumble teaches you something. Every fall builds muscle.
Every misstep gives you wisdom. You're not failing, you're learning, you're building, you're becoming. And that's what this is all about. Not perfection, progress, not safety, strength, not certainty, courage. So when that voice in your head starts whispering all the reasons why you shouldn't take the step, I want you to speak back, loud, firm, unapologetic. Tell it, not this time. Tell it, I'm not staying stuck. Tell it, I've wasted enough time playing small. And then take the step, not when it's easy, not when it's clear. Take it now. Take it because the person you're becoming is worth more than the fear trying to stop you. You've got a future that's waiting on the other side of that decision. A life that don't look anything like what you've been through. But you'll never get there if you keep waiting on perfect conditions. There is no perfect time. There is only now. And the ones who wait, they're the ones who move anyway. Take the step.